Hello.
Yield proceeds slowly. Yeah. Awesome.
Trying to get creative.
Yeah. Construction ahead.
I think that we actually got pretty much what we expected today.
Yeah, I think we did too.
We didn't exactly get to the 200 in the SPY, but we certainly kissed it. Within 20 cents or whatever. We
17 cents, I think it was.
paused at or near the high, paused at or near that level. We didn't sell off like I think a lot of bears were looking to see happen today.
I think
Obviously,
a lot of them were trying to get it. I said they'd have to defend that. And I think that's exactly what happened. And there was not enough steam in them. And the buyers came right back in.
what do you think about as far as like the overall picture of price action today? I see, again, just barely over 100 million. What I'm taking out of it is they tried to sell it off, couldn't. Again, maybe just lunchtime. Didn't necessarily trade above the opening price for most of the day, but you gotta love a hammer up here, kissing the 50-period moving average, kissing 200. Uh, I look, I'm not overly bullish, but I'm certainly not lining up to be a bear right now.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I think there's still a lot of shorts out there, and there's a lot of people on the sidelines. And I think a lot of them are waiting for that 200, the 2,000 in the S&P, and the 200 in the spiders. And I think we will get some momentum if we can get through there and hold. And our next level, there you are. You're right one step ahead of me up there at around 205.
It's actually interesting. We just if we go back to a little bit further back, maybe we're just basically drawing boxes all over the place in the SPY. And again, if you take this basically this 3 to 5 day window out and you move this box up here, we're pretty much a box for 2015. So I guess you get a lot of emails. We discussed how much we like teaching and mentoring everybody today. If somebody's learning in this environment, they are so far ahead of the curve because this is a challenging tape, and you really need to have a good a definitive way of looking at price action. So if you're sitting there listening to this right now and you feel like, oh, I'm getting chopped up around a little bit, you're not alone. However, if you're holding your own, you're actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and just be real stock specific and keep your stops. If you get stopped out of something, just take it and move on. It's
So
not
do
one to be a hero and hold them.
Yeah, it's not a market to trade out of a bad position. Sometimes
Yeah.
the market's so truly obvious where it's a long or a short, and that's just not the case right now, other than some specific stuff, which I guess we'll take a look at. So this is the SPY coming into today, and not exactly clear. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. It's almost a giant S&P 500 doji there.
Right. I was just thinking that.
um,
Ready for doji, a Christmas doji.
Yep, yep. The thing that did stick out a little bit though was this section up here in the back. We've been talking about Exxon and especially CVX and COP. They're the two of the strongest in that area, and we'll take a look at those charts. So not quite a doji yesterday, but pretty darn close. We just peaked ourselves above that. So coming into the day, I thought we were going to get a much better trending type day that we did, but I guess everybody's really just extending it one more day where everybody's should I or shouldn't I? Should I load the boat on the shorts because resistance going to hold because it has been, or do I sit on the sidelines and just wait to see if we pop above 200? I think it's going to be interesting. I'd really be surprised if we don't have one monster trend day this week, and I believe it's going to be the upside just because we should have sold off and we didn't, and now we're holding near the highs. But this market is certainly one that's just making us trade what we say and not what we think at this point.
Right, exactly. You can't really be too stubborn in this tape.
So this is basically the read that I had coming into today. Obviously, the SPY was trading right at or above pre-market. Again, very clear here, around 7 a.m. I believe we'll test the upper level of the range, which is right around that $200 level, which we were talking. And here's kind of what I saw coming into today. A light volume pause again today, and I'm being very specific here. I guess I wasn't hedging it at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was feeling pretty brave, I guess. Will lead to a breakout before the end of the week with 20. I guess it's 205, 206, depending on
Yeah,
where you
it's
actually
right
saw it.
around there. It's in between them, I think, where I saw the level.
Let's see. I think we drew back here. Yeah, definitely in this area. So, and again, a lot of stuff like that too, Marion, isn't it? Where it's like not exactly a support level. It's a little sloppy.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me just
In a
finish that
while.
up to give a little context for coming into the day. A hard reversal off the resistance takes the SPY out of play again. And essentially what I mean by that is if we would have hit up here in this level and sold off, that basically takes us back into one of two boxes. And when I say out of play, that basically means when the market's obvious, you can have a much higher conviction level. When the market's not, then you're either sector, industry, or stock specific. So it's not that we're harping on this buy. It's just that it's easier to feel comfortable in positions and accept risk when the market's obvious. So that I want to always make sure that we don't take anything for granted, like what we say and that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly.
So basically, we said basic materials show great momentum. Now, the interesting thing here is they were a little bit overbought, and even some of the technology stocks they were 3 to 5 days higher and into some resistance levels. It would actually be kind of cool if they can flag like Microsoft and GE and a few of those guys.
Right.
And obviously, with oil rising, airlines should see some selling. But I think that we got a little reversal there based on the numbers that came out at 10:30 or 10:15, whatever time they were. We actually
Yeah.
trading off hard, but then, excuse me, opened higher, but then sold off, which actually led to some of the airline stocks. And I guess it's just smarter for us to cover the leaders. You don't want to be short selling the ones that are strong. And actually, that kind of brings us to a discussion that we had with somebody in the room today about shorting one of the airline stocks, which I think was JetBlue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I do believe it was.
And we were saying and actually it was right around this area. We were saying don't short a strong stock. If anything, you probably, if you wanted to be short anything over there at all, you would want to be short something like UAL, which was the weaker one. So if we can give everybody just a quick lesson, UAL obviously much weaker than the stock that was in discussion in the live trading room today. But that's exactly why we have those discussions. And you applaud somebody who's in there asking the questions because that shows they actually want to learn,
Right,
and
exactly.
lo and behold, look what happened.
Mhm.
So we hopefully we saved him a couple of shekels there, and coffee's on him tomorrow.
That's right.
So here we have at the end of today, not quite as red across the board. Again, big doji, hammer type candle on the SPY today. Look, it's still indicating green. I don't see any reason. There's no large cap stocks here that are, I could look and say, look at that pocket of opportunity. They're getting hammered. Even the ones that did sell off, the larger guys that we've been watching, they're not really getting crushed here.
Yeah, and even like a sector like utilities were weak today, but they weren't sold off. They were just weak.
Right,
There's
exactly.
a big difference.
And that's interesting. That's also why we look at the map as well as the chart, Mary, because sometimes the map can sometimes be deceiving because it's giving you the net change, but the actual chart, it could be a big gap up that trended down the whole day, even though it's net positive. It was, it trended down the entire day. So I think you always need to look at both. You can't just look at one or the other.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything surprise you today in price action?
Trying to think if anything did. I really was concentrating on a couple of the things that I had, like the Tesla trade. And I was actually surprised that Facebook continued as weak as it was and the Netflix sell-off.
Yeah, I think Facebook has made a pretty clear declaration. It's waiting for the next earnings.
Yeah, I do believe it is. And I mean, I think it's a stay away right now. I think we mentioned that this morning. That's not that's the price action is definitely not saying it's a strong stock, so I don't think it's a short. But right now, I don't think it's a long either.
Would you mind explaining? You did a good job this morning. The downgrade in Tesla, even though it wasn't a downgrade like to a price down here, it was a downgrade. Would you mind going over that for a second?
Okay, so this morning we came in, and I believe it was Baird who had downgraded the stock. Then they downgraded the price target from 335 to 282. Now, 282 is above where it's trading now. However, why it shows weakness, it's because it's showing that it's got a $50 downgrade. He believes it's worth $50 less than he did, I think it was in May when he last weighed in on it. So my thought was he believes it's worth a lot less now, even though it could possibly see 282. My thought that was that $50, if he had given it a price target 335 to 325, I don't think it would have made too much of a difference because he wasn't really giving it a real haircut in the price of the stock. But $50, even though it is a $250 stock, that's 1/5 of the price.
So this is
That's
going to be
quite a haircut to give a stock.
interesting one to keep an eye on tomorrow, because if we remain below this 233 level that we were watching, there's really no clear level that you can lean on here and be like, oh gosh, that's a really good support level where I expect buyers to come back in, other than all the way down here.
Exactly. And that's why we were watching that 230. And I think fortunately for Tesla, the market got a little stronger and it held up. And maybe there were some buyers coming in the afternoon. But actually, as I was watching, most of the uptick bars were lower volume. So I'm not going to say that this stock had any amount of strength in it at all, even though it stayed above 330. I mean 230. I would definitely watch this for a break of that 230 tomorrow. I think it got actually down to almost 229. 229.12 was the low.
You actually just brushed by something that is a really advanced market analysis thing. You just said that the buyers on the way up were lighter volume. So you're saying you were noticing on the tape as they were pushing it up here in these couple of different windows that it was lighter volume.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's it.
So we can see that lighter volume. But I mean, we might get a pause there at 220, but you're talking we could have like, and then after that, I mean, it's like no, every man for himself. I think it's 202.
Yeah, I think you're right around here, right?
Yeah. So I think this is a really good one to watch unless they can come out with some insanely great news and get all the naysayers off their backs. I think this could have another down move.
And what's interesting too is, what was it, just maybe a week ago, and they came out with the news that was expected to be very positive about the SUV.
Yeah, and you know what? That was also something else that was really curious. Even before today, the stock was really weak. I had 7 out of 9 days, I think, were red. And even on good news, they couldn't hold. They had the one green bar because they had good news, but then they went back to selling it the next day.
Yep. Actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this green bar is last Friday when the whole market reversed.
Right, and the whole market did. I
Yeah.
think I'm trying to remember. See, I don't really remember what day it was that they had that news on it. Do you remember what
Yeah, I
day
don't
it
remember either,
was?
but I want to say it was this Doji day.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Pretty
okay.
sure, yeah. Yep. So
Right,
that's
so it was
another,
even red on that day. So the
definitely.
sellers even came in on good news.
We were all over it that day. Not so much that we were calling the direction, but we kept noticing that it wasn't bouncing on the news.
Right.
I wasn't trading it myself, but it was a constant. Well, it should be going up. It should be going up, and it's not. And we actually had something similar in Netflix happen about a month ago, where they expanded into different markets and it didn't bounce. So we went into this kind of 2 week trading range, for lack of a better way of putting it. Now we have almost an inside on the daily chart there. So Netflix setting up really well for a trend day tomorrow.
Yeah, trend day in one direction or the other wasn't particularly strong for the last 2 days. So I really, take note of that.
Well, we blasted through the 110. Now we have consolidation, and when you see consolidation, let me pull that up a little bit. Dramatically less volume. That's actually really constructive for the most recent price, for the most recent momentum. So, I actually think we're set up for another move higher tomorrow. I think the only thing that would stink, and I'm not, and it's really weird to say, if we gap higher and the move is in the gap, that would be the only
that's
thing.
true. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think when it got through that 110, I was totally surprised.
Well, it went through it viciously. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
it was like 100, 110, like in 2 days without any sweat. So just covering a couple of more things that we were looking at today. Just want to make sure that this happened to be a trade that we were calling out today, and this is really what I'm more focused on, not the fact of how it played out, which clearly was a pretty good trade during the day. If you're not taking advantage of the resources that we have on the website, I just want to make sure that you do, because they're free. It's just a question of going on, to the blog. Marion and I both put, a lot of work into each blog post. And just to give you an idea, like, this is a weak stock with a weak close, and just show you how you can find that on the blog and take advantage of that. So obviously go to Trading Education Blogs, click on blogs, and once you find this, you scroll down and you can see that we have it listed by multiple different sides of the market, the entire reason that we're looking at it, what the criteria is for the stock, most recent price action, bullish or bearish. So you get a lot of good opportunities. I mean, even right down to this listing here is nothing more than it traded contra to what the market did yesterday. So this is literally just today compared to yesterday. This is basically the last 2 weeks and how it closed. So there's a lot of stuff on there. So you see weak stock, weak close. Dollar Tree and DG were in that list. So take advantage of the resources. Go there every day, no later than 8 o'clock, and there's plenty of stuff to look at. So um, as far as some stocks today, we're starting to notice, at least we had a quick discussion about it this morning. The scans are not loaded to one side of the market anymore, which it's kind of good. I think we mentioned it. I don't know. It was like 10 o'clock, 10:15, Marion. We were on one side of the market. And we're like, okay, the market's shifting. Now go to the other side and start to look at the stuff that you have on the other side of your list. And I think it was a really cool thing to go through in real time today.
Right, right. I definitely agree.
If you only have one side, you kind of get caught off guard if the market picks a direction, opposite to like the two or three stocks that you have. So, that's kind of why we have the multiple lists here. So we have long stocks, we have short stocks, and clearly you could trade them individually themselves. However, if the market does pick a direction, you want to lean towards the ones that are bullish or bearish. And if the market changes direction, you want to be prepared. The worst thing you want to be doing is, oh gosh, the market changed direction and it's really going hard in the other direction. Now I got to scramble for stuff on the other side. No, you should be going into the day with a solid list of longs and shorts. And again, if you're not taking advantage of it, absolutely recommend that you do. Go to the blog. There's plenty of stuff to look on there. So I usually have this with plenty of different stuff to look at. And then Marion's post has a ton of stuff in there as far as news. I know I see you doing it every day. Hours in there getting this stuff done. So there's some really good resources. I hope you guys take advantage of them. I don't know that much changed today, Marion, other than some stocks that hit resistance, like some of the tech stocks that we've been watching. Got up to levels that, look, we said that's the level and probably going to have to consolidate up there. And Microsoft was one of them, had some good news today and, hit the level and came back pretty hard. So a healthy consolidation up there, I think would be pretty good.
Yeah, we have Twitter is flirting with that 30. Did you see that this afternoon?
I did. I actually pulled it up and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's really good, clean continuation today.
Yeah. And I think that's that's what I think is notable about that it's a clean continuation.
Which actually, I think that's, if you don't mind, I want to finish up on that one chart that I got all excited about today.
Okay.
Somebody had called it out in the room, and if you are a relatively new trader looking to really figure out price action and feel comfortable, we had called this out, and somebody had called it out, HOLX today, and actually looking to short it here. But that really wasn't what caught my attention. What caught my attention that turned into a lesson was actually this. It was more a little bit bigger picture, and then we translated that into a little longer term. We have a momentum move up and then a really tight consolidation, a move higher for a few weeks and a tight consolidation, move higher, tight, move higher, tight, and then move higher, and then an ugly mess. This is an absolutely perfect chart to print out to understand when you expect follow through to continue and when you are looking at what is a potentially change of trend. I don't know if I've ever seen a chart that has this many, 1, 2, 3, 4 really clean high tight patterns after momentum, and then about as obvious as a sloppy top as you'll ever see. I can't emphasize it. I think that's a template for that.
Yeah, I think that was pretty remarkable too. I don't know if I've ever seen anything that was that clear.
All right, I think the game plan has not changed much from tomorrow. We didn't get the trend day. A lot of stocks consolidating. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what we do on the open tomorrow.
Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to it.
Okay, have an awesome night, Mary. Thank you.
Okay, you too. See you in the morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye.